to this week's Self-Love Masterclass. If you are new here, my name is Renee Love. I am the CEO and founder of Modern Day Wise Woman, which is an online self-love coaching practice and private school. And here we talk about all things self-love, energy medicine, and holistic health. Welcome. Before we dive into the class, there are a few things I want to let you know if you are new. The first is that Self-Love Masterclass is an entire series. So do be sure to check out the entire playlist that we have here. I'm sure whatever brought you to this class will have you really enjoy the other classes. And then the other thing is that you may want to grab yourself a notebook or your smartphone or something that you can really just jot things down on, because a lot of people find that there's a good amount of information here that's worth capturing and saving. But of course, this video will be up for as long as I can imagine. So you can always come back and look at this video on the playlist, or even save this video to your own playlist, whatever works best for you. Today, I would like for us to dive into the concept of self-confidence. What is it that gives us self-confidence? What can we do to boost our self-confidence? And what are the things that we need to watch out for that actually diminish our self-confidence? Self-confidence is about us really feeling like we can trust ourselves and us feeling like we are capable of doing the things that we would like to do. So what we know about self-confidence is that things that we have done and done repeatedly and have done well, we tend to have greater or more confidence in those areas. And so it would only make sense then that the areas where we seem to lack confidence or have less confidence are in the areas where we don't feel like we've met the standard, or where we've met the goal, or where we are less practiced. So we have confidence in some areas, and we have little to no confidence in other areas. So for the purposes of this class, what I want you to do is think of an area where you are lacking confidence, an area where you would like to have more confidence. If you are human, it is natural to feel like you don't have confidence in some areas. Where it becomes a deeper self-love issue is when we have an overall lack of confidence. How you'll know if you have an overall lack of confidence, a lack of self-confidence, is if you're someone that is very, very critical of yourself and you can't seem to find any area of life or anywhere where you feel good about your skill level or your abilities. In other words, you feel like there's absolutely nothing that you really do well. You don't really know where you add value or how you contribute to the lives of others, or where you're doing well in your place of work or in your business. You might even feel in your relationships like you don't really add value to your partner or your friends. And so you're constantly feeling insecure, or like you're not good enough, or like you just don't belong, or you don't measure up compared to the rest of your peers or your group. So if you resonated with that, like if you felt like I was talking about you, there's much deeper work to do. In other words, we really have to go deep and take a look at how long you've thought these things about yourself, how long you have felt this way. Because I assure you, no one is born out of the womb without self-confidence. That kind of lack of self-confidence is something that builds and is compounded year after year after year of your life and development. And eventually you begin to have these narratives about yourself, about what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. And all of this has contributed to this idea that you are not enough anywhere and that you really don't add value. I'll definitely do more videos on this topic, and certainly if you go through the playlist of Self-Love Masterclass, you will find other videos that will help you to dig deep into where or how these kind of narratives and stories that you created began. But I also want you to know that if you have watched a number of videos, read all different kinds of self-love books or self-help books or whatever it is, and you feel like you're still stuck and you're not able to get to where you want to go, it may really be time for you to consider working with a professional, someone like myself that is a coach, or a therapist, or a counselor, or a mentor, someone that can really help you to get into the depths of what's going on in your mind and help you to rewire your brain and to shift your thinking. But for now, let's continue on with digging deep into what we need to develop more confidence. It's very normal to feel afraid when we need to try something new, or to feel afraid when we haven't done something often enough. And of course, the more important that thing is, the scarier it can be. For example, when I'm working with new moms and they're feeling a little bit apprehensive or nervous or anxious about how they're taking care of their babies, that makes complete sense, right? If it's your first child, you're just not as experienced, and of course you're going to be afraid. You want to make sure that your baby is okay, that your baby is alive and thriving and well. In that case, the stakes are very high when we feel like we could fail or we feel like we might make a mistake. The same is true for something like driving. While driving is something that people do every day, and the vast majority of people feel comfortable doing, when you think about it, driving is a very serious thing. When you get into a vehicle and you get on the road, you not only have your own life in your hands, but you have the lives of everyone else that you are on the road with in your hands. And if you're carrying passengers, like a child or a parent or a loved one or a friend, you also have their life in your hands. So driving can be quite scary. And if you do not know how to do it, or you haven't done it for very long, it would make sense that you would feel a little bit scared or a little bit nervous. These are two examples, but if you take a look at the area that I asked you to look at, you'll be able to determine if you are feeling a little bit afraid, and if you're feeling afraid, why you may be feeling so afraid. It's possible that the thing that you have to do is something that affects your life and the lives of many others. And so if you don't do it right or you make a mistake, it's not as simple as just trying again. Basically, what I want to do here is just help you to understand that in many ways, the fear that you may be experiencing isn't irrational and is perfectly understandable. But let's move on to the next part, because the next piece is all about you understanding that if others can do it, you can do it too. Where a lot of us get really stuck, why our confidence doesn't really go up or move forward, is because when we feel the fear that I was talking about earlier, what we do is we avoid it. We try to get around it. We try to move away from it. We don't go towards it. Now, the more we avoid something, the easier it becomes to avoid it. And the more we feel like we can't do it, and the more we feel like we can't do it, the more it diminishes our confidence in this area. So we don't try to do it, or we don't try to do it often enough. We avoid it instead. We then tell ourselves that we don't think we can do it. It then escalates into I don't think I can do it, or I can't do it, And then we really believe, now we have this narrative that we can't do it. And so now there's this thing that we can't do, but maybe that other people can do. And we then collapse it with thinking that it's us. We're the reason. There's something fundamentally wrong with us. We are just fundamentally incapable. And all of this drags our confidence down. Think about it. Think about this area that you're working on, okay? And think about how often you have tried it. Now, there may be some of you that have tried and tried and tried, over 100 times, and you can't seem to get it. But my assertion is for most of you that are really struggling with your confidence in this area, you're just not as practiced. In other words, you haven't developed the skill set yet. You're still either quite new, or you haven't been consistent with trying or your practice, and that's more of what the issue is. Not so much that there's something wrong with you or that you just can't get it. And I'd also like to add, for those of you that maybe have felt like you have tried over 100 times and you still can't do it or you still can't get it, and it's robbing you of your confidence, more likely it's still not that you can't do it, it's that you haven't figured out how to do it. And you probably need to try a different way or work with someone that can isolate where the issue is. Because once the tweaking is done and once you make that shift, you probably will be able to do it. So my friends, our confidence is built when we feel afraid and we do it anyway. When we feel afraid, and instead of avoiding or moving away or trying to figure out 3 other ways to do this thing so we don't have to confront the thing that we're afraid of or we think we can't do, when we move towards it and we succeed, it builds our confidence. When we move towards it and we fail, but we try again, it builds our confidence. It may not build our confidence immediately, but it shows us that we are tenacious and that we have the ability to not be shaken by our fear or controlled by our fear, that we're someone that can try and try and try again. In any area where you are lacking confidence, the key is to try again. The other thing that can sometimes happen that will get in the way of us being able to develop self-confidence is we defer to others. So, if I think I can't do it, this is an example. If I think I can't do it, I then ask someone to help me to do it. If they help me to do it, I then say to myself, the only reason I was able to do it was because I had help. So now, every time I want to do this thing, or every time I want to try something new, I need someone else to help me do it. I have created this idea or this narrative in my head that in order for me to be able to do new things, or in order for me to be able to do this thing that I want to do, I need help. I need to do it with someone else. I can't do it on my own. Do you see how easily something like that can happen and how it can sneak in and destroy your self-confidence? So one of the things that I recommend is that anytime we ask someone for help, which is a good thing and an important thing to be able to do, because a lot of us get stuck because we don't know how to ask for help. What we want to also try to do is do it ourselves after. Do it on our own. This is the whole difference in that analogy. You know that one about teach a man to fish, show a man, no, it's, I'm totally gonna mess it up. It's like if you catch the fish, if you catch the fish for the person, right? They have food, but they don't know how to fish for themselves, so they're really not self-sufficient. But if you teach a man to fish, now he has all the power. That's basically what I'm talking about. I think you guys understand what I mean here. So we want to ensure when it comes to building confidence that we're not just people that can find people to give us fish, but we can learn to fish for ourselves. That's going to help us to show ourselves, to demonstrate to ourselves that we can do it on our own, that we can really do it on our own. Anytime you feel really afraid or you feel really discouraged to do something, to try something, to start something, and you hear yourself saying that you can't, it's important to change that language in your head. Instead of saying, I can't do it, you say, I don't know how to do it. Then it's about figuring out how to do it. Again, I'm just going to repeat this because this is really important. Anytime you hear yourself say, I can't do it, you want to switch that around and you want to say, I don't know how to do it. Then it's simply about figuring out how to do it. You can either figure it out on your own, or you can ask someone to help you figure out how to do it. Once you figure out how to do it, it then is about you showing yourself that you can do it on your own. This is going to help you to develop your self-confidence, not only in that area where you're struggling, but overall. Friends, there are going to be some of us that have a little bit more confidence in terms of self-confidence because of the way that we were brought up or the environment that we lived in, the kind of education that we got, the kinds of friends that we had, and the level of support that we had. So all of these things can contribute into how you developed as a child, your sense of self, and the level of confidence that you had and have today. Some of us are much more easily able to try new things, to feel confident about trying new things, to believe in ourselves, and to believe that if we try and try, even just a few times, that we can get it. But for some of us, that's not really the case. Maybe things happened in our life that caused us to be really terrified or afraid. We could have gone through traumatic incidents. We may not have had the kind of loving or supportive parents or a home environment that we needed. There are just so many things that could have happened. And these things rattle our sense of self and thus our sense of self-confidence. And so we may have gone through the world just trying to avoid the things that feel hard or the things that we just simply believed that we couldn't do. Some of us are just much more avoidant and much more anxious than others. And for those of us that are like that, we have to work a little bit harder to develop our sense of self-confidence. We have to be more aware that we feel more afraid and anxious than the average person, and that we must consciously, when we feel afraid, move towards the fear. There are, of course, times when we feel afraid and it is a danger signal, a warning that we in fact need to stay away. But this is not what we're talking about in this class. What we're talking about in this class are the things that we need to move towards, because they will help us on our self-love journey. They will help us to get more of the things that we want in life. They will help us to be in healthier relationships. They will help us to manifest our dreams. They will help us to be able to do more with this wonderful life that we've been given. So we don't want to be scared. We don't want to lack confidence and feel like we can't do it, because that robs us of all of the beautiful things in life that we truly deserve. You can do it. You absolutely can. So I want you to right now take a moment to write in the comments below one thing that you are going to start doing today. Something that you've been too afraid to do, or you've been putting off or procrastinating, purely because maybe until now you lack the confidence. I want you to know, when I said you can do it, that you really can do it. All you have to do now is figure out how. Take the first step. It's time. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for this Self-Love Masterclass. I hope that it has been helpful for you. And if it has, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It helps me to know what videos you like the most and what you find most helpful, so I can create more classes of that nature for you. Don't forget to share this video with the people in your life that you love, the people that you are practicing self-love with, the people that you just want to see win. Share these videos with them, because we need more love. We need more self-love education. We need to be empowered. And with all of the madness that is happening in the world, and all of the other stuff that is constantly trying to get our attention and break us down, we absolutely must be vigilant about taking in content and information that builds us up and brings us together, not breaks us down and fragments us. We need to be powerful now. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do not forget to do that, or to subscribe wherever you are watching it. Make sure we stay connected. And my friends, until we see each other next time, don't you forget that we truly are in this together. Mwah.